YTBC student. Now, that is the youngest, baddest uploader who has stepped foot and touched buttons on this thing and has made total sense. And I tell you something, I've seen a lot of them come and go. But YTBC student has now graduated into the midst of the masters.
What up, everybody who talks boxing, comments about boxing, and makes boxing videos? Want to give a quick shout out to a couple channels: What's Blazing Sports, MMA Boxing Talk, Jeff Cotto, and Strictly Boxing News. Big shout out to all these channels because they all been talking about the Pacquiao Vargas fight. I'm gonna be honest, I've been slipping when it comes to this fight, but the fight is tomorrow. And I want to give my take on a couple different things when it comes to this fight. Now, the first thing I want to mention is this. You know, a lot of people feel that Pacquiao made this fight because it was the safe fight to make, which is it's a fair assumption. I'm not thinking that assumption is completely out of line. Just as long as you acknowledge that it's just an assumption and that you don't know for sure. As boxing fans, a lot of us like to act like we know exactly what's going on at the negotiation tables, exactly what's going on behind the scenes, and that's just not the case. Now, there's some channels that I've seen that have said things about other fighters that they favor, where they'll say, oh, well, they try to make that fight, but that fighter's under this promoter and they're under that promoter, and it's the politics, which is fine. But then when it comes to certain other fighters and they can't get these fights made with other fighters from other promoters, then that fighter is ducking. Or that fighter is, they'll come up with conspiracies and all this stuff. And here's what I got to say, all right? Mr. Boxing Day 2 did a video not too long ago saying, if you're going to be the numbers guy, be the numbers guy all the time, not just when it's convenient. Well, if you're going to be the politician or the businessman, be that guy all the time. Because Pacquiao did try to make fights with Adrian Broner for sure. We know that for a fact. And allegedly with Danny Garcia. Both these fighters are Heyman fighters. Okay? So if you're a channel that says, oh, that certain fights can't be made because of promotions and politics, then you got to do it for Manny Pacquiao as well. Now, as far as Terrence Crawford is concerned, Terrence Crawford is under top rank just like Pacquiao is. So that is a fight that is within the realm of possibility to be made. The only thing with that is, I think Crawford is on his own path. Pacquiao and Crawford don't need to happen. They're in two different divisions. Crawford, I think, really needs to worry about becoming undisputed at 140. And I think that's a very realistic accomplishment for him to make. I would favor him to make that accomplishment. But the thing is, we don't want to give credit to a fighter for things that they haven't done yet. I mean, I hear it being said about Triple G all the time. Well, same thing with Crawford. I have 100% faith that Crawford is the best at 140. He just needs to bring that to fruition. Once he does that, I'd love to see him move up. And I mean, I don't think it would happen because I think Pacquiao would actually be retired by that time. But if Pacquiao's still fighting, maybe it'd be good to see that fight. Speaking of which, real quick, side note, I think Pacquiao should have stayed retired. That's my opinion. But only these fighters know how much they have left in the tank. And sometimes even they don't know. But if anyone knows, it's going to be them. They're the only ones who know their true mental state and physical state, really. So anyways, on to the next thing I want to talk about when it comes to this fight. Shout out to Coach Shelton Harrison. He put out a video talking about Stephen A. Smith is to commentate on the fight. And here's what I gotta say. Stephen A. Smith, from what I can gather, because I don't know Stephen A. Smith personally, but from what I can gather, from what I've seen and what I've heard him say on First Take when he's talking about boxing, he comes off as a casual fan. That's just how he comes off to me, at least. If you feel differently, if you think that he's, more than a casual, feel free to leave a comment and let me know why. But from what I gather, he's just a casual fan. Now, that being said, does that mean that I think he has no business commentating on this fight? Yes and no. Now, as far as his knowledge of boxing, I think he has a fairly good grasp on the sport of boxing as far as how the sport works. How it's scored, the judging, the rules. I think in that aspect, I think he knows more than enough to commentate on a fight. Where he comes off as a casual is his knowledge of, the current boxers, who is who, who's done what. I think that's where he is more of a casual. But as far as his knowledge of how the sport works, I think he is more than qualified to call a fight. Now, here's the thing. Stephen A. Smith, it all comes down to whether or not he can be unbiased in calling a fight. And here's the thing. When you watch him on First Take, you have to keep in mind he's going to give his take on First Take. But not only that, he has to be entertaining. Alright? Anybody can sit around and talk about a sport, but are they entertaining? Are people going to want to tune in and listen to what they got to say? In my honest opinion, I think what Bob Arum is doing is he's trying to take a page out of the WWE's playbook, which is having a colorful commentator. Now, I don't watch wrestling anymore. I used to when, all the way up until I was in high school, I used to watch wrestling. And then I don't think I've really watched wrestling since. But one thing I always noticed is that they always had one more serious commentator, and then they always had the colorful commentator. You would have, I don't even remember these guys' names. Coach, for instance, Coachman, forget what his first name is. He was more of the serious commentator. And then they would have somebody with him such as Jerry the King Lawler or Taz, you know? I think that's what Bob Arum is trying to do with Stephen A. Smith. I think he's trying to have a colorful commentator. Will it work? It might. We have to wait and see. But if he is to be the colorful commentator, I can tell you right now, he's not going to be unbiased. But we'll see. We'll wait and see. He might surprise you. You know, you have commentators such as Paulie Malignaggi, who, I'll be honest, for the most part, is unbiased. Only time I heard any kind of biasness is when Triple G fought Kell Brook. So, a little bit of bias came out, you know, and he got scrutinized for that. You know, Precise Presenter, I think, did a very good job of pointing out how ridiculous some of the statements he was making was. And it's no secret that he is a heavy Floyd Mayweather supporter. So, you know, he's gonna push that narrative when he can, which I think he should keep it out of his commentating, but I think he failed to do that in that fight when he was commentating on it. But anyways, that's my thoughts on Stephen A. Smith commentating on this fight. Now, as for the fight itself, this fight is going to tell us a lot of different things. Oh, I forgot. There's one more thing before I get to the fight. And then, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Jesse Vargas. Jesse Vargas made a statement saying that he is like a young Juan Manuel Marquez. Now, it's funny because on Strictly Boxing's video where he talked about this, I put a comment saying, well, if he knocks out Pacquiao, then he really is like a young Juan Manuel Marquez, because he already lost to Bradley. Womp, womp, womp. Anyways, it was just, you know, a jab to Jesse Vargas. Not that I really have anything against Jesse Vargas, really. I was just joking. But in all honesty, I hate when fighters try to give off these impressions that they're like another boxer, and they always do it in a way where it relates to race a lot of times. Jesse Vargas is Mexican. Marquez is Mexican, and he was able to knock out Pacquiao. So he's trying to make that relation. He's trying to put in the fans' minds that, oh, well, he did get knocked out by Marquez, and this guy's Mexican too. And I really don't like that narrative, because one, it pushes the racist agenda to an extent. Not outright, and I'm not saying that that's what Jesse Vargas was aiming for. I'm just saying that's kind of what it does. The other thing is, fighters need to stop worrying about being the next Muhammad Ali and the next Floyd Mayweather and the next Pacquiao, the next Chavez. I wish they would really stop doing that. And not that there's anything wrong with acknowledging that these guys have really done something in the sport. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with aspiring to achieve the type of success that these guys have done. But you need to make it on your own merit. Let others come to the surmise that you're like that fighter. Don't try to put it into the minds of the fans. But really, what you should be going for is, am I going to be the next Mayweather, or am I going to be the first Vargas? Am I going to be the first Lomachenko? Am I going to be the first Nicholas Walters? Am I going to be the first? You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys really need to build on their own name. Am I going to be the first Andre Ward, the first Kovalev, the first Triple G? You know, build your own brand and stop trying to counterfeit somebody else's. So, that's all I got to say about that. Now, finally, I knew this video was going to be a longer one. But finally, on to the fight itself. I think it's a good fight. I think this fight is going to tell us a lot about both Vargas and Pacquiao. When it comes to Vargas, it's going to tell us where he is when it comes to elite competition. Because I'll be honest, the most elite competition he's fought against is Timothy Bradley. He's really the only elite competition he's had. And he lost to Bradley. And I think rightfully so. The whole thing where he almost knocked out Bradley within the last 10 seconds, and that referee who was old as dirt, who had no business refereeing anymore, you know, thought that he heard the bell when really it was the 10-second mark. I think Bradley is enough of a veteran that he wouldn't have got knocked out. I don't think it would have made a difference. So this is his next elite test, and Pacquiao has beat Bradley 2 times on paper, and a lot of people feel 3 times in reality. So I'm saying that not because I totally believe in triangle theories. I'm just saying, you know, just things to consider. Now, can Vargas beat Pacquiao? We'll see. I'll tell you this much. I don't think he's knocking him out. But win, lose, or draw, I think we're going to get a better gauge of what he can do at 147 pounds. When it comes to Pacquiao, I think we're going to see how much he really has left in the tank. He hasn't been in the ring since what, April? We're going to see how much these layoffs, which the layoff isn't that long. I mean, we're at the beginning of November, so that's roughly what, 5 months, 6 months, something like that. So, I mean, it's not a terrible layoff. His layoff from Mayweather to Bradley was longer than that. It was, you know, a little over a year. So, you know, it's not a terrible layoff, but he's also not getting any younger. You know, this layoff may actually affect him more than the year layoff because he's only getting older. He's not a spring chicken. So it's going to tell us how much he really has left in the tank. So all things considered, everything I've talked about up until this point, I'm going to go ahead and give my official prediction. I am going to pick Manny Pacquiao to win by unanimous decision. That's what I'm picking. Manny Pacquiao, unanimous decision. He's not knocking out Vargas. He hasn't knocked out anybody in a while. And I don't think he has... I think he has the hunger to win. I don't think he has the hunger to knock somebody out. So, I mean, it is what it is. But I think he will win by unanimous decision. I think he'll win comfortably. I do think that Vargas is going to definitely have some spots. Especially if he fights him like he fought Ali. If he fights him like he fought Bradley, then he's going to look terrible. Because in all honesty, he looked terrible against Bradley. Keep in mind, he's also taller than Bradley, had the reach advantage on Bradley, just like he does on Pacquiao. Where Bradley and Pacquiao have in common is that they're both elite fighters. So, if he fights Pacquiao the same way he fought Bradley, he's going to look terrible. Only difference is I don't see him nearly getting a knockout like he did on Bradley. I don't see that happening. So, he's going to have to work real hard all 12 rounds. Because Pacquiao tends to put out a very good work rate. So he's going to have to outwork Pacquiao. And that's no easy feat. So Pacquiao by unanimous decision. Let me know what y'all think. Feel free to leave a comment. But anyways, to all my subscribers, anybody watching my videos, or if you just so happen to stumble upon this video, hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. Peace.
Just let your soul go. Just let it shine.